Yes. Yes, sir.
No, thank you for being here. I would like to ask you, we have seen photos and films about the creation of Paris. And
Paris.
Paris.
Yes.
How was it in Tel Aviv? How was it in Jerusalem on the 14th of May? You knew that war will start. How was the feeling of the people?
The feeling, like I said, I've said it already, the feeling was, it was not even a mixed feeling. The feeling was this of a fantastic rejoice. The 600, by then there were already about 700,000 Jews in Israel, in the newborn Israel. The 700,000 Jews were overjoyed, were excited about the fact that finally, after close to 2,000 years, there again is a Jewish state, a Jewish country, because we had lost the country, as one knows, or one doesn't know, some 2,000 years ago when the Romans buried the temple and buried Jerusalem and drove the Jews, then called the Judeans, by the way, and drove the Judeans into the diaspora, into other countries. Since then, there was no independence for the Jewish people. This was again the first time that the Jews had again an independence, an independent state. So the joy was fantastic. It's impossible to explain. The next day when we were attacked by the Arabs, we were still under the impression, the Israelis, or now already 700,000 Israelis, were still under the impression that we will win this war. Despite the fact that we were not very well armed, we had nothing. But we knew that we were going to win this war because this state had waited to come into existence for 2,000 years. We were not going to lose it in a few weeks. We were going to defend it and to establish it. And this is exactly what we did. We lost a few thousand people in this war. But we managed because we were helped, one must be frank, we were helped by the then Soviet bloc. This is true. The Czechs did send us some arms. We also got some arms from France. We got some arms from America. But in the beginning, we didn't get anything. We had to fight what we had when the British had transferred all their weapons and all their heavy machinery and heavy guns to the Arabs, because the British backed the Arabs then. There is no discussion, there's no argument about it. They won't argue it either. They backed the Arabs at that time. Why? We all know the reasons. The Jews didn't have much oil. The Arab countries, or the Arab nations did have the oil. We didn't have the oil. We still don't have oil, by the way. We tried for 60 years to find oil. There's no oil. It's the only two countries, I think, or three, is Israel, Lebanon, and Syria without oil in the Middle East. All the others do have oil. Why the Lord didn't put some oil into this place, I don't know, but who can argue with the Lord? Nobody can argue with him. He doesn't answer you anyway.
How was your relationship with the great Ben-Gurion, Menachem, Begin, and so on?
Ben-Gurion they were both were very important people, by the way. Ben-Gurion was a very special sort of a person. He, first, before anything else, he was a one-man show. He didn't consult the government, or didn't consult, in fact, anybody. He decided, but thanks to him, because he decided we have the state now. Otherwise, there would have been no state. And when the others told him, but the Arabs will attack, he said, no, okay, the Arabs will attack, we'll manage, but first state, and then we manage with the Arabs. Had he not decided, I don't know, it would have taken months, maybe, who knows what would happen. So in this respect, Ben-Gurion was a great person without any doubt. Now, Menachem Begin is in fact the opposite. Menachem Begin was one of the last gentlemen, a real gentleman, not only in the Jewish people, in the world. Menachem Begin served as an officer in the Free Polish Army, under General Anders. He volunteered in 1943. He became an officer. They fought still in Italy, and some of them even in the invasion of the Normandy. And then they were stationed in Palestine. In 1944, the Anders army was stationed in Palestine. And some of them had participated in the war in Africa against Rommel. And then they were in Palestine. All the Jews in this army, and there were hundreds of them who were in the army, deserted. They just left the army and went to kibbutz, or they had friends, or they had relatives in Palestine, and didn't come back. The only person who went to Anders, to his commander-in-chief, and asked to be discharged from the army was Menachem Begin. He could have done the same as the others, disappear somewhere. Nobody would have looked for him. No, he said, I'm an officer in the Polish army, and officers or soldiers don't desert. Officers and soldiers are soldiers and officers, so they must get permission. He went to see Anders, and he told Anders, please, he explained the situation, I'm in my country. This is going to be my country. Please give me a discharge so I can stay. And Anders said, okay, you stay in Israel, you stay in Palestine. And this is the way he acted through all his life, by the way. He was on the right, he was a right winger. But he never has done anything wrong or anything against, how should I say, certainly not against the country. He opposed the agreement with Germany. Of course, he opposed the agreement with Germany in 1953. The Adenauer of Ben-Gurion, he opposed it. And finally, in Ben-Gurion hated him. He hated him because he was afraid of Begin. Because he knew that Begin could become, he was already a leader, he could become a very big leader. And in 1976, there was no Ben-Gurion anymore, of course, Begin was elected. He had a majority, he was elected as prime minister. And all what was said against Begin disappeared all of a sudden, because it appeared that the man is a gentleman. He was the first person, the first Israeli, to conclude a peace treaty with an Arab country, with Egypt. He, the man who preached, and this is true, war against the British occupation, war, etc., he was the first to understand that Israel could survive normally only by making peace with its neighbors. Because Israel, have you seen a map? Israel is surrounded by the Arab states. There are 24 Arab states, by the way. There's 1,300,000 Muslims in the world. Now, they all surround Israel. Now, he realized he was the first person to agree on a peace treaty with the largest of the Arab countries, with Egypt, which has helped a lot, of course. Till today, we have peace with Egypt. Then others came, but Begin was the first man to make peace with the Arabs. Begin offered to make peace with the so-called Palestinians as well. But then it was over for him, he became sick, and he had to leave his post as a prime minister, and then the rest is recent history already.